at a phase with this painting where we have established kind of the lights and darks using one single color as an underpainting. And if either water, if you're using acrylic, or Gamsol, and paint if you're using, so it's a kind of a watery layer. And you can definitely tell there are dark areas and light areas in here. So I thought I would take this time to review how color works. I'm going to let you pick your own colors for the top layers of this painting, but there are some, to be successful, you're going to want to follow some rules. And one of those is to kind of understand how colors work and mix. The other is to understand the concept of warm and cool. So I'm going to introduce you to my basic palette. And we're going to talk about that for a few minutes, right? What does that mean? And we're also going to talk about how to associate color with value. What I love about this particular exercise is that we get wildly different results, just wildly different paintings, depending on what colors you choose, which is kind of neat. But all of them successful. And let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to start off by talking about reds. So we know that the primary colors in the palette of which we make everything, we mix to make everything, is red, blue, and yellow. But we know that not all reds are the same. We know that not all blues are the same. And you know, if you've tried to mix a purple with the wrong red, you get kind of a mud color. If you take the wrong yellow to mix and the wrong blue to mix a green, you get a kind of muddy color. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on there before we get started in our things. So the first thing, and Geraldine, I was thinking I would love you to observe this. In my basic palette, I have 3 reds that I like to use. One is a cadmium red, the other is a quinacridone red, and the third is alizarin crimson. So what's the difference between these reds? Can you tell? Can you see anything just by observing?
Lighter and darker and burnt and lighter, maybe.
Which one is lighter?
The one in the middle.
This one. Yeah, that's lighter. Yeah. This one's darker. This one's the darkest, right? So cadmium red is a red with a lot of yellow in it. It's almost orange, right? And quinacridone red has no yellow in it. It's got blue, actually, which makes it, so a cadmium red is what we would consider a warm red because it's yellow and warm. If you want to mix yellows, if you want to mix sunsets, if you want to mix like, kind of warm, if you want things to glow, you use yellow and yellow based colors. Anything called cadmium, by the way, will be warm. And in my experience, I mean, I hope not to be proven wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. And then for purples, for beautiful purples, for example, you're going to want a cool red. You're going to want the quinacridone red. You can also get a nice one from alizarin crimson. Is interesting because it's kind of a neutral. It could go either warm or cool, kind of depending on what it's paired with. So I like to have these 3 on my palette. They do different things for me. Any questions about that? Okay, so
when you say that red is a primary color, are you referring to one red or another?
No.
It's just red in general.
That's why we're discussing all the different reds, right? Okay. Right? Yeah. I mean, I tend to, if I'm going to limit myself, make it a quin red rather than a cadmium red, because I know I want to mix a purple. I won't be able to get it with cadmium red. We'll get there. No, there's no standard. I mean, there are colors in some kids sets that are called primary red or primary yellow, but that is not, never go by that. They're often, those are cheap colors. So this is ultramarine. So here is the warm and here is the cool. Here's the warm category, here's the cool category. So it's a little bit hard to see these colors. Well, wait a minute, I need one more thing. I need to grab my white. Okay, got it. And I've got a little bit of white over here. So let's take a look at, it's a little hard to tell the difference between phthalo blue and ultramarine blue, but if I add a little white, you can see it easier. So there's phthalo blue. Okay, and then here is ultramarine. Let's still got a little bit of, here, I'll use a different.
What about cobalt?
Cobalt's kind of, it's a color with white in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a neutral, maybe cool. Cobalt is a little bit cooler. Can you look at the difference between these two? Look at the difference between ultramarine and phthalo. Phthalo blue is almost green. Ultramarine is almost red. So ultramarine is a warm blue. And phthalo blue is a cool blue. Phthalo blue is also insane. It's like, it's like a kind of like jewel. It's not a tone that really exists naturally anywhere. It's a very strong pigment color. And then the yellows, for the yellows, I usually will have, let's see. Did I grab the right ones? I have a small little table here. Okay, so for a warm yellow, I will usually, oh, let me put this up. See it. That's a cadmium yellow. And I'm looking for, hang on, I grabbed the wrong yellow. Excellent. You can open it. A cool yellow might be a lemon yellow. Or sometimes a cad yellow light can be cooler. Just depends on who makes it.
Is yellow ochre in there?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
You're jumping ahead.
That's all right.
I actually have 4 yellows I really love to use. I would definitely put. So I'm introducing you to my palette, right? There's Naples yellow, and I'm taking a long time to do it because we, we have 3 hours, so it's a nice luxurious time to kind of spend. Thank you. All right, and then here are the yellows. This is lemon yellow. I'm going to take a picture of this. This is cad yellow.
Oh, good, because I was
Cadmium.
starting to write it down. Thank you.
Yellow medium. This is ochre, yellow ochre. And this is Naples yellow.
Maple.
I love Naples yellow. So can you see differences between these 4? Yeah. Which is the warmest one?
Cad?
The ochre one, the one
Nope.
to your right?
No, cad yellow is the
Okay.
warmest one.
Okay,
The cadmium yellow.
These
The
are
lemon
hard
yellow
to
is
tell.
cool.
yeah.
And the yellow ochre is really a neutral. It can go either warm or cool. It tends to be on the cool side, and Naples yellow, very, very cool,
Mm.
right? So white, by the way, is a cool color, and it will cool things down. White can also be a flattening color. So here, I'm gonna take these, I'm gonna take a picture. What did I do with my phone? Ah, there it is. I'm going to take a picture of this so you guys can see this little thing. And this is my basic palette. I do almost everything. I'll take a picture of this. There we go. So the warm category is here. The cool category is here. And generally, if you want your colors to be brighter and more vibrant, you kind of want them, you want to stick in the same category of thing. So I know that if I try to take cadmium red, I know if I try to take, for example, cadmium red and ultramarine blue to make a purple, it's going to look terrible. Well, maybe it's exactly the color I want if I want brown, but, and sometimes you do, but like, that's not a purple. If I mix quinacridone red and phthalo blue, I get a much more purpley color. Here, I'll take a picture of this because it's easier, and I'll add a little white to it so you can really see it. See the difference? Purple.
Mhm.
And then here's this purple. It
So
looks
are you
kind of-
saying it's good to stay within cool or within warm when you're mixing? Are you
I'm not
that?
saying that. I'm
You're not
saying
saying that?
depending on what you want, it
Okay.
might be that way. If you want crisp colors,
Mhm.
then you should stick within cools and cools and warms and
Okay.
warms.
Crisp
If you want
colors.
colors that are a little bit warmer and muddier and grayer, you might switch it up.
Ah,
So maybe I want a purple. So these are both purples, right?
right.
This is mixed with two warms. This is mixed with two. Maybe I want quinacridone red and ultramarine blue. Maybe I mix the warm with the cool. See what happens there. So I get a kind of mix, a slightly warmer purple. See that?
You like that.
Well, it's a warmer purple. It's redder.
Yeah.
You can see this is bluer, right? You can see this is, God, not even really purple. So when you want sharp, crisp colors, you know, that are really clean. So you want, say, a kind of pinky orange for your sunset, you may want to stick with cools all the way across. If you want something that has a little bit more warmth or a little bit more grayish tones or a little bit of, you might switch, you might go across the spectrum here, right? And notice, and if you want to mix a shadow of something, right? You're going to take complements to do that, right? So you have options. And do you remember, Geraldine, do you remember what the complements are? What are the color complements? You remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
Pat will remind you. Go ahead, Pat. I put you on the spot because I knew you wouldn't remember. Pat, what are the color
They're-
complements?
They're the colors on the opposite side of the color wheel.
Yeah, so what are the three pairs?
Oh, God. Purple and yellow,
Yep.
red and green.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Purple, red, green.
Well, red and green.
Yellow and
Purple
well,
and
yellow.
yellow, red and green. What's the
Mhm.
last one?
I'm thinking the other color.
Blue and orange.
Blue and orange.
Please write these down. Purple
Mm-hmm.
and yellow, red and green, blue and orange. I'm not going to write them down now. I want you guys to write those down and remember those. If you put, so you notice, so we have options, right? As you're trying to mix like a shadow of anything, you usually want to mix a bit of the complement in. So if your car is purple, right, you're going to want to mix a little bit in the darkest part, you're going to want to mix a little bit of yellow in your shadow. And if you're like, I don't really like the shadow that this yellow does, maybe I need to try some of this shadow, this warmer shadow, right? Maybe I need to try some of this yellow ochre to see what that does. All of these will work and create different things. Let's see what happens, right, when I mix. So here's a kind of cool purple. Let's see what happens when I mix yellow, cadmium yellow with it. Kind of, it's okay. And I can add a little white to it just to see how it looks. It's kind of this weird, actually it looks kind of like baby puke green. I don't know. But if I try a little bit of yellow ochre, I get a different, mix more. Run out of color a lot too. Now, I know, because I know color well, right? Maybe the ochre is a little bit better. All these are looking kind of green. And the reason is that I'm using a cool, a cool purple, right? So mixed with a very green blue and a kind of bluish red. So I add yellow to it, and it's very often I'm getting a kind of green color, right? So you might decide, I don't want my gray to be that green. Maybe I want to try mixing, yellow, mixing a kind of warm and a cool. So I just took Ultramarine blue, which is a warm blue, and Quinacridone red, which is a cool blue. Because I definitely know I don't want, what do you call it? Where are you? I just do it in blue. I definitely know I don't want, cadmium red in my purple, right? But maybe if I mix a blue, I'm sorry, I'm like looking for what I did. All down, where are you? I have all these colors kind of stacked on top of each other. Give me just a second. I need to find my blue. Here you are. Oh, that's that low. Does this happen to you guys a lot? Next down, and you're like, I just had it in my hand. I know. Hang on. I have another ultramarine blue in here somewhere. Here we go. Oh, for God's sakes, this is the one I won't open. Here's more ultramarine blue. So I can mix that. I have this kind of warmer red or purple. What happens when I mix a yellow with that? I get something that's kind of less green and more kind of pretty purple tinted gray. See that?
Yeah.
Is this helpful, by the way, to look at this, to watch this? I mean, I know there's a lot of experimenting you're going to need to do. And I know, and if I want to like try a light yellow. So you might, as you start your mixing, and you begin playing around with your grays, so you can see it can be very different, right? Using all these different colors and kind of understanding how the colors work. To kind of nuance your mixes. And with this, you can make a lot of different color combinations. With these, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 colors. You can make it. I rarely use more than that. I have a few more colors, but I basically mix all my colors from these. So as you're starting to make decisions about color, and I want, and notice something else too. Actually, this is a good thing to show. If I add white to something, a lot of people try to lighten things by adding white. And I want to show you what happens as you do that. As you add more white to something, it becomes very flat and kind of pasty. Can you see that? So while sometimes you may want that, if you're wanting to warm up a color, you may, instead of adding white, want to add yellow to warm it, to make it lighter. Right? And if you want something really light, maybe you want like, and notice it does not take a lot of color to add to yellow, right? To make a pretty dramatic dark color. So you may want this kind of mintiness, right? In just flatness in your whites, but notice that white very often can flatten something and make it look less sort of warm and glowing. So when you're trying to lighten, you very often want to mix with yellow. And what's my last thing I want to talk about today? There's many things. Oh, yeah, and I want to talk about value. So let's see. Oh, yeah. Does everybody remember what value is? What's value?
The lightness and darkness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Of any color, right. So which one is lighter in this? Which is the lightest value in this line?
Cad red
Yes. What's the darkest?
out there in crimson.
Yes, excellent. Okay, what about phthalo blue and ultramarine? Here are the two basic colors here and here.
So,
Which is the
ultramarine.
lightest?
Oh, the lightest, the phthalo blue.
Which one is which value is it's a trick question. They both are quite dark value.
So
right.
maybe a 5, a 4, and a 5.
They're 5. They're both
Right.
5 right next to
They're all
each other.
5.
So if you put them next to each other, they will, flatten each other out, right? Let's see, let's try another one. This is fun. All right, how about, I'm gonna put a little bit of red. Red, what about the red and this yellow? This Naples yellow here. I'll take a picture of it so you can see it because there's a little bit of light flashing on it. Which one is, what are they next to each other? Is one darker and one lighter?
Well, the lemon yellow is much lighter.
This Naples yellow, you mean?
The
I
lemon
just got
one,
these two. Look at these two
Oh,
here. Oh,
just
sorry.
those two.
Yeah, right. Maybe. So I'm gonna turn this, hang on, I can't do this in WhatsApp, so I'm gonna send this over to myself. I'm gonna send this. Give me just a second. I'm gonna turn this into a black and white. And then let's see how things change. Come on. Oh, it's so annoying here. I have to I can't just edit it. I have to save it and then call it up in another program. Give me a second here.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I know this is kind of boring. Pat's like, I'm so bored. I want to get started. Come on.
No, I can
Yeah.
probably do it pretty quick for you if it's taking you a long time.
Yeah, if you want to race me on it, that'd be
Okay.
awesome. That'd be awesome. Whoever gets, not as a race, but just as a, yes, let's, I think I've got it. Although it would be good for everybody to do this in the sense that, here, hold on. I'm gonna,
It's
ooh,
there.
good job. All right. So does this surprise you at all?
It kind of does. Yeah.
What surprises you about it?
That yellow is a lot lighter.
Well, this yellow is a lot lighter. This yellow is kind of darker.
Really?
These are closer. Yeah, I would say, if you look at this, you'll say that these are, I wouldn't call this like a 1 in 5 difference. I'd say this is like a 3.
Mm.
Look, you can see 5s down here,
Yeah.
right? So this red is maybe a 3. The Naples yellow is maybe 2 or 1.
So it is lighter. Yeah.
It's
That's what I
lighter,
thought the yellow was
but
lighter.
not as light as you think it is. Let's try
okay.
it again. You guys tell me a color combination. Tell me 2 colors to put together. And let's see. Let's
Red and
try.
green.
What's that?
Red and green. No, that's too hard.
Yeah. From what's here? Well, I can mix you a green. I'll mix the green with phthalo. And let's see. Here is a green. Here's a green. Oh, that's a good, actually, that's a pretty good one. Let's try it. What are these two? I'm going to take a picture so you can see it up close.
Mhm.
What are these two? What's the lightness or darkness of these two? Next to
They
each
look
other.
exactly the same to me.
I
They're
would
close
say
to the
green
same.
is,
Try it. So
darker.
Geraldine, I want you to take this picture and turn it into a black and white, and you'll
Okay.
see. Yeah, both of you do it. We'll all do it. I will probably do it slower than everybody else.
Did you say, you didn't send it over yet, Leah?
I did.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
in
go.
there. See, it's right here.
Oh, I'm looking in photos instead of WhatsApp.
Yeah. I just want to say, you still beat me when it comes to. It's closer, they're closer to the same, aren't they? Pat, I'm proud of you, by the way. Maybe it's like a 4 or 5. Whoever gets it first, share it. All
They're
right.
really close.
Look
Yeah.
at Gerald. You see how close they are? Shocking, isn't it?
The
Shocking.
green is a 5.
The green is a 5. The red is almost a 5. Does that shock you?
Well, it's just hard because you got it in your head. That's red. It's not dark or light. It's just red. But once you see it in black and white, you can kind of see that.
Well, it's all relative, right?
All relative.
Right. So, so what I'm hoping we get from this whole conversation, there's a lot to learn, and I promise I will continue to go back and forth over basics. And in January particularly, I'll do a lot of focus on the basics of color mixing, and that's all we'll be doing is color mixing and basic brushwork. But what I want you to think about is as you're mixing things, as you're, you know, testing things, you should like note that color is really relative. It depends on what's next to it. Paintings are good with strong contrast. So one of the things that's happened, Pat, is we've lost some of the contrast, and because you've used a lot of white in your darks, they're looking a little bit flat.
Ah,
So I like the colors generally, but what I want to do is push them a little bit darker. So, all right, so now this is going to how we're going to start painting today, and then we're going to start painting, right? So now we're going to start painting. So now, and both of you are going to do the same thing, although you're at different phases. You're both going to do what I call glazing. Okay, so glazing. And Pat, I have an exciting suggestion for you. I don't know if you're gonna like it, and you can say no, you can choose a different color if you want to. So glazing, I have this one color on here, and we always glaze at the beginning because you can really only glaze when the painting is dry. If you're working in, it's good to have kind of a big thick brush for this. This is almost an inch across. Kind of rugged.
Like this one?
Yeah, like that one. Yep.
Right.
Now, if you're working in acrylic, you're going to take a lot of water. If you are glazing in, if you're glazing in oil, you're going to use a bit of this Galkid light. You can also use, I'm pouring some in here. Here's the Galkid light.
I want to see you do that because I keep getting too much paint to the amount of Galkid. I don't know. I'm not really sure on how to mix those. How much
Well,
Galkid?
it's a lot of, you need to keep getting more Galkid light on. You don't get very much. It's because it's thick. So you need to keep dipping your brush in the Galkid light.
And
get
then
the
putting it
glaze
on the
across.
painting?
Yeah,
Okay.
watch. So I've got this orange painting. I know that the complement to orange is what? What's the complement to orange?
Blue.
Blue. The complement to orange is blue. So if I want to have a kind of exciting, if I want to take another color that's the opposite of orange and add a little depth to this painting before I start layering colors in, I'm going to grab some blue. So I am taking a little bit, you'll see I have a little bit of Galkid, a lot of Galkid on my brush, a little bit of paint. You'll notice when I lift my brush, there might be paint color, but there's no globs of paint, right? It's not like this. I'm not doing what they call loading the brush. Can you see the difference? This is a loaded brush with lots of paint. This is a paint with a lot of medium, either water if you're working in acrylic or Galkid light, or linseed oil if you're working in oil. And I'm going to keep this here. Wait, I'm gonna keep
So you're
this
going
here.
for a fairly dark mix?
I'm going for a kind of I want color.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And definitely Galkid, it's a good question, Pat, because it's definitely Galkid light. So as you can see, I'm going across, I keep dipping my brush in the water so that I've got a, like, it's almost like making a filter on your camera, right? Where you turn everything like, I don't know, Arctic or denim or whatever.
What's in the
gum-
jar?
Galkid.
Oh. Oh, so it's better to put it in the jar than on the palette. Okay.
I mean, you can put it on the
I end
palette.
up
I
with
can't
problems when I
because
put it on the
I
palette.
can't because I'm on a desk that is
Ah.
kind of leading up.
Okay.
But yeah, you can put it in a jar or on the palette. I tend to have some of both always. So you can see that I've got like this kind of light bit of color. There might even be some streaky bits. I like these streaky bits. I also know that I can let these go. You want to be careful not to darken. I'm actually coming in and darkening in the darkest parts of my painting. But you can see, I can still see the underpainting, and look at how interesting it's starting to look. Look at all this accidental texture. Now we may choose to keep some of this, we may choose to keep none of it. You don't have to keep any of it. I now have a really good sort of basis, what we would call an underpainting, with some black, there's some black and white, some texture, right? That will make my other colors on top kind of sing. So I think the challenge with Galkid, so with water, this is an easy process. I mean, you can go back and forth with water and acrylic. You can do this all the time. And if you feel like you've gotten too like heavy, like in some places I do, I'm actually taking a paper towel and brushing it off. I'm a little worried that my Galkid is kind of heavy in places. And so I'm going to be painting on this afterwards. It's not going to dry right away. So Pat, what I'm kind of showing you is like you're glazing, and then just to make sure your painting isn't soaking wet, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm pulling off little bits of it so that there's not like piles of Galkid everywhere.
And
What I
for
want to
tourists.
avoid is something like, yeah, this is a real nuance. You, Geraldine, don't have to worry about this. You can just like use as much water or whatever, it'll dry in like 20 minutes. For us oil painters, we got to work a little bit harder. So Pat, here's my suggestion. And if you
Alright.
do it, I'll do it. I think you should
Okay.
glaze with phthalo blue.
Phthalo, oh.
And I'm going to do it right now, just to show you. I was working on a painting in the abstract art class, and Carissa gave an instruction. It was not an abstract painting. I was just kind of monitoring the class and, you know, hanging out, helping out Carissa if she needs anything. And she said, use a color that you never use. And I use phthalo blue. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. And phthalo blue, I find to be a completely uncontrollable color. So my suggestion is use phthalo blue.
All right.
Phthalo blue, your whole thing. And then wipe off all the light parts. And Geraldine, you pick whatever color you want. You can pick a blue. I mean, you know, it helps to pick something that's not, it helps to pick something that's not the same color. Like to pick a red to put on top of this color isn't really going to do very much. You want something that's kind of an opposite in some way to create, and you want something a little bit darker, something with a darker pigment. So a cobalt blue, for example, has more white in it. Yellow ochre has white in it, although yellow ochre can be a really cool like glaze. But pick a color that's kind of dark, is kind of the opposite of your base, and go ahead and try it. And then I'll send you a picture of what mine looks like, and you guys send me a picture of what yours looks like. Pat, did that help in terms of the nuances of using Galkid light?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I think I don't talk about that enough. So you can see I'm once again kind of wiping it off in the lightest areas. I'm keeping it kind of heavier in the darker areas. I'm kind of wiping off the lighter areas. Already it looks kind of neat though. Already I'm kind of like liking the look of this without even deciding what my final colors are. Our abstract teacher said to me recently that she didn't really understand the point of an underpainting in a figurative piece. Because in abstract pieces, it makes sense to her because you can see the layers. She feels like you one often covers up all in a figurative piece, you cover up your base layers. And my answer to that is that all your colors will, it is true that you may completely cover up this painting. But as you guys have noticed, the first layers of a painting always look watery. So you need a base, even if you cover it up, so that the top layers look kind of brighter on top.
One thing about this, the phthalo blue here, is it's pretty close to my underpainting.
What did you use for your underpainting?
Turquoise. I used
Yeah, it's kind of green.
turquoise.
Yeah.
But it'll make a difference in the other thing. So. I immediately want to wipe it off of the
wipe it off.
Color.
Wipe it off with your napkin. Wipe it off with your blankie, your paper towel. Geraldine, how's it going for you?
Good.
It's kind of neat, isn't it?
I'll send you a photograph.
Yeah, I know it's still hard to picture where this is going to go.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this when you're through with the painting, Geraldine.
When you're through with the painting, you'll be like, oh my God, that's what happens.
Definitely.
You think you're covering up all this stuff, but you all of a sudden you realize, wow, some of it's still there. It's kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, let me see.
All right. Do you use your phone with what's it called? Because the easiest way to make a black and white really quick is to go back to your photos real quick and just edit
Yeah,
it.
but when I'm in WhatsApp, if I take a picture in WhatsApp, which I often am doing, then it's not in my photos, right? So I should have taken it in my photos and shared it to WhatsApp. But if I have my settings on WhatsApp so that the pictures don't populate, they don't basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have
what
to
I'm saying.
spend 10 minutes and get rid of all the pictures.
Yeah. They stay in one place. So it just means it's a little bit trickier. I just have to remember. You're right. I should have done it that way, but I didn't. All right. And then your next assignment is going to be to pick a color that represents colors that represent light, medium, and dark next to each other. And they can be any colors. If you want to, you can keep this a all blue painting or an all orange painting or an all yellow painting. If you want to, you can, but you need to be able to show me a light, a medium, and a dark color next to each other. Or you can do something crazy like I'm about to do here. I'm gonna make, I think I'd like red to be my medium. Oh, wait, it's hard to see here. I'm gonna put this, oh my gosh, you can see this. I think I need another, hold on, another. How about this? Okay, so I'm gonna pick cadmium red to be my medium. And I'm gonna say purple mixed with alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue to be my dark. And then let's say, what am I gonna pick for my light? I want a very light green. So I'm gonna take a lemon yellow. Where are you? I'm gonna take a little bit of lemon yellow and a touch of phthalo blue, just a tiny touch. So I'm gonna mix, see this? See how little, oh no, here, hold on, I'll show you in a second. I'm using very little. Nope, I need to make it lighter. I need to make it even lighter. There we go. I'm using mostly yellow with a tiny touch of phthalo blue to be my light. I might add a little bit of white to this. Now, sometimes the exception to, there we go. So now the question is this, so what I'm going to do is I've got my three colors next to each other in the order I think they are. I'm going to take a picture in my regular camera. And then I'm going to turn that picture. I'm going to send it over to you guys so you can see it. So this is what I think is light, medium, and dark. Come on. What's going on here? Oh. There we go. So this is what I think is my light, medium, and dark in order. Light, medium, and dark. And now I'm gonna go back to my photos and change it into a black and white to see if I need to adjust anything. You're right, Pat, that was the way to do it. Thank you.
It's real quick that way, huh?
It's quick that way. Yep, I just have to remember. Interesting. So I do feel when I look at this, nope, that's not where I want to send it. No. I do feel when I look at this, there, that my light and my dark are pretty good. What I want to do is maybe lighten my medium, my red, perhaps with a little bit of yellow. So it's a little bit more orangey. So maybe maybe this becomes, yeah, that looks actually better to me. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
So I've lightened my red with a little bit of yellow, and I believe that will actually, these three will be a good light, medium, and dark. So what I'd like to see you do is pick your own light, medium, and dark, any colors that you wish, and then put them next to me as a black and white so I can see them. So once again, just like I did here. So I've got, I'm going to do that here. There's still this kind of awkwardness as I'm trying to get there, but I'll get there. Here, hold on. Oh. So I'm taking a picture with my adjusted. I'll send it over. Here's my color version. Maybe this is a little bit boring, and I'm sorry if it is, but I think it makes it more like it makes it easier to understand what's going on later.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right, so here's that. Now I'll go back to my pictures. You're right. Excellent, Pat. And then I'll turn that into a black and white. That actually reads. Let me show you what I mean. There we go. So this actually reads as a light, a medium, and a dark.
Mhm.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Next to each other. So you want to kind of find, so now finally, I can start putting color, like more thickly applied color on top of my painting. Geraldine, for you, it will be entirely dry. Pat, for you and me, it won't be quite as dry, but that's okay. If you need to, you can kind of wipe off excess Gamsol.
Okay.
I might go in with some lights. So I'm going into my light and I'm returning to this. You don't need to see my colors so much as you need to see this. My lightest colors are kind of in here. See, and now I have a little bit of a loaded brush. I don't really have much stuff on it. I mostly just have, a medium on it. I mostly just have paint. So see how I'm kind of coming in here and adding, leaning on my paint palette and getting paint all over myself. I'm coming in here and it's kind of light here, right? I'm adding in this kind of light color here. And then next to it, and maybe I'll just do that everywhere. Maybe I'll just go in and decide to keep my right, it's kind of light here. Notice I'm not really painting a lot of windows. I'm just kind of blocking in color. If you want to, you can add your windows. If you want to get detailed, Pat got pretty detailed in her drawing. She had a little bit of time to work on it, right? So
Yeah. This is the point at which on the last painting, and I think the one before it, that I got confused.
with what?
Well, I picked 3 colors and then I felt obligated to use those 3 colors as the only colors.
Oh,
in
you
my
do not
painting.
have to do that if you want to.
Yeah, it ended up
You
really
should
kind of
not feel
weird.
obligated. They're more just like getting you started.
Yeah.
And then if you want to switch up the colors, you just want to make sure they match the values.
Yeah, I sent over a picture of mine in black and white after the, and I think I have light, medium, and dark, but I think the mediums are too light, maybe.
I think so too. So that's why I told you, let's start out glazing, right? And
Right.
then to get some darks in there. And then whites, the lights are kind of like salt. You don't want to put too much of it in. And look what's happening to my painting already though, just by adding a couple of lights in key places in the lightest parts of the painting, which are really here. These windows and the sky. Even the car, maybe the top of the car might be a little bit lighter. Yeah, no, you can totally switch it up, Pat, with other colors if you don't want to stick with those same colors, but you just want to make sure they match values. Right, that's kind of the key. And I had this brush loaded with this kind of light greeny yellow, so I thought I might as well like get it in a few places before I move on. I'm just looking to see if there's anywhere else I want to put it. I usually start with the darkest and I go backwards. So this is kind of backwards for me, painting for me. There's a little white sign here. A couple of signs here. Yeah, mostly I think I'm kind of curious to see where this goes. By the way, Geraldine, your glaze looks great. Wonderful. It's already a fun, that's a beautiful, even though it might look kind of murky and messy to you, this is a beautiful underpainting. It is exactly what you need. And this is why people kind of lose the plot on painting, because it's easy to look at that and think that looks bad. Right? It's too mucky, it's too murky. You've lost some of your value differentiation as you know your lights and your darks.
Yeah.
But in reality, you can do just fine. Oh my gosh, everything's getting very bright. In reality, it's a great base to start. It's a really good way to start your paintings. Because look at this yellow and look at how bright it is. Can you see how bright this yellow is on top of my base? Do you see how as I add these top colors in, how vibrant they are? That's basically what happens when you have a good base.
Mhm.
Right?
I don't have the same sort of colors, but I'm sort of trying to find the same ones. And then maybe when I feel more confident, I'll start mixing it up.
Right. Yeah. Do what makes you feel comfortable. But if you see like someone who's done a painting of like, I don't know, a person's face with like 100 different colors in it, that's essentially what they're doing. Right? Is they're kind of switching out value and color. So they're just making sure that their values match whatever color they pick. I mean, look at this. Can you see how this is already starting to kind of have a little bit of vibration? I don't even really know where this painting is going to go, right? But it's, yeah, right, Pat. Like if I wanted, so what I would suggest on your trees, Pat, because they're much darker than you have them. If you look at the value here, well, actually, that's not really true. It's kind of a light dark thing that's happening. I would go, Pat, for warmer colors on the top of your tree. The white and the brown that you mix kind of read a little flat. They don't have like, I know this is not an entirely, it's actually got a lot going on in the trunk here, right? It's bits of light and bits of dark, but it's more dark than you think. Like I'm going in with some purple to darken here. And I'm really darkening kind of up in here. And I'm not
umber and burnt sienna both cool?
No, they're warm.
They're both warm. Okay.
They're warm. It's when you add white to it that it cools it. So now that I've got the kind of darks of this tree, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to my purple to create a, yeah, no, I'm not meeting him enough. If that will work. Yeah, I just threw a lot of color theory at you, Geraldine, so don't worry if it doesn't all completely make sense right now. You can see I've kind of darkened this tree quite a lot. There's light areas. I'm going to add them on top last.
Yeah.
I'm going to add them on top last. So there's a lot more dark in this tree. The tendency is for people to want to add light and then do little dots of dark, and that looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. Let's see. And with my trees, my trees have darks and lights too. So as you can see here, I'm kind of darkening the trees everywhere. And I'm going to add a little bit of light, the leaves. So Pat, this is another thing I feel like we were missing from your painting is all the foliage. You really
I haven't even
wanted,
started on foliage.
yeah,
I'm a little
I think
afraid
you
to
should
do
have
that.
gotten it in because it's the main dark light balance,
Yeah,
right? So that's like what we want is that foliage in. Do you see how I've got it in here? So that I have my my lights and my darks in place.
yeah, I put lights and darks on in the underpainting color, but they're
Then you
not
lost
showing up
it.
all that much.
You lost it in the, that's
Yeah.
why I was like, your painting needs to get much darker. I can't really decide what to do with this card. Maybe green. So I'm painting it. You can see I'm like getting, things are looking kind of blotchy and blurry. I'm getting so dark. That's okay. I can put lights on top. And lights look beautiful on top of darks. I think that's the one thing that people really struggle with in painting.
Mhm.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Hi, Diana. I had a feeling you'd show up. What have you been up to? Fixing things with your guy?
Yeah, we've ripped up the whole, well, a big part of our deck in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like the shopping assistant running for lumber and bolts and
Right.
partner. And I think I'm done for today.
So now you can come to your painting.
Yeah, I haven't really painted anything. And we got a monster TV delivered today that we had set up to.
Got it. Just all the Sunday things.
Yeah, so we got the, you know, I was perfectly happy with a 50-inch TV. But now we have a 75-inch.
Great.
Yeah, I guess it's nice for watching movies.
I don't know. I'm with you. I watch everything on my little tiny laptop, so I don't even have a TV. I live in a like 250 square foot apartment, so it's
Oh my
pretty hard to
God.
fix anything.
Well, I live in a 3,000 square feet house.
That works. Then you need a big TV.
Not really. Part of the family thinks so. I haven't painted for days.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in a little while.
Been working.
Yeah.
Let's try the red.
Hey, guess what, Diana and Pat? We got our grant.
What?
We got our grant. We get to hire our first executive director.
Oh,
Oh,
yay.
yay.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Yes, we totally got it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, we're excited. Because now we can start, you know, paying somebody to figure out how to make more money.
Yeah.
Just like you did, Diana. Like you think, you know, there was the money to pay a little bit for you, and then you used it to figure out how to pay more, you know, how to do more and earn more. And it's not just about you, I know that, right? Like it's about like having somebody who has the capacity, who's paid to do the organizational work. It's really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're totally
Yeah, you
excited.
need that. Otherwise, you just come to a standstill.
Yeah, you're kind of come to the same place over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Well, nobody has time to do anything when it's free.
All right, I'll be
That's
right back.
also true. So my handyman now has a 50-inch TV. We gave him the old one.